All right, so far in our nutrition journey, we've talked a lot about the body's main fuel sources, carbohydrates and lipids. But today we're meeting the crew that does almost all the actual work. Let's talk about the body's indispensable workforce, proteins.
So let me just start with a quick question for you. What one type of molecule is responsible for building your cells, for making the antibodies that fight off infections, and for forming the clots that stop you from bleeding? I mean, that sounds like it has to be three completely different things, right?
Well, here's a hint. It's not a carbohydrate, and it's definitely not a lipid. The answer, of course, is protein. And that incredible range of jobs is exactly what makes them so fascinating to study.
So how in the world can one single type of molecule wear so many different hats in the body? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at their fundamental blueprint. What is it that makes proteins so chemically different from everything else? So here's the official definition. Proteins are large, pretty complex organic molecules, and they're made up of these smaller units called amino acids. Now, we're going to get way more into amino acids in our next explainer, but for now, just think of them as the essential building blocks, kind of like Legos. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. If you look at this chart, you'll see that carbs, fats, and proteins all share carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But look at that fourth element there, the one that only proteins have. Nitrogen. That is the secret ingredient. The presence of nitrogen is what completely sets proteins apart and gives them all their unique superpowers. And hey, some proteins even contain sulfur, which just adds to their complexity. Okay, so with that unique chemical blueprint, proteins are basically qualified for a staggering number of jobs. Seriously, if we were to write a job description for a protein, it would be the longest and most varied list you've ever seen. Let's run through just a few of them. First up, proteins are builders. They are the main structural material for pretty much all your new cells and all the little functional parts inside them. And on a bigger scale, they also form those hardened structures you can actually see, like your hair and your fingernails. But proteins aren't just sitting around being building blocks. They are super active workers. Think about enzymes, those catalysts that speed up all the chemical reactions that keep you alive. Yep, almost all of them are proteins. They also act as lubricants, which helps your joints and organs move around smoothly. Proteins are also your body's personal security team and medics. They form the clotting compounds that rush to the scene when you get a cut, and they build those incredibly specific antibodies your immune system uses to hunt down and take out invading bacteria and viruses. And the list just keeps going. They're also managers and a full-on logistics team, helping to maintain that delicate balance of fluids and pH inside you. They work as transport trucks, carrying nutrients and oxygen all through your bloodstream. And they even make up certain hormones, the chemical messengers that regulate just about everything. Okay, that was a massive list of jobs, I know. And some of them can sound a little abstract. So let's put a spotlight on just one of those jobs, maintaining fluid balance, so you can really see just how critical this protein function is. This diagram does a great job showing what's happening inside a capillary, one of your tiniest blood vessels. See those little green spiral things? Those are our proteins. And here's the key. They are just too big to leak out through the capillary walls. This basically makes them act like little sponges that hold water inside your bloodstream. So check out the arterial end, where the blood first comes in. Here, the blood pressure from your heart is pretty strong, and it actually forces some of the watery part of the blood out into the surrounding tissues. This is great because that's how nutrients get delivered. But then, as the blood moves along toward the other end, that pressure drops off. And this is where the proteins really shine. That sponge-like effect takes over. Their natural attraction to water is now stronger than the blood pressure, so they pull most of that fluid right back into the capillary. It's a brilliant system. And you can probably guess, without enough protein, this system fails, and fluid gets stuck in the tissues, which is what causes swelling. So, after hearing this insane list of essential jobs, from building to balancing to fighting disease, you might be wondering, okay, what's the catch? We know carbs and fats are great for energy, so what's the deal with protein? And the answer is right here. The body can use protein for energy, but, and this is a huge but, only as a last resort. And why is that? Well, because it has way too many other critical jobs to do. Burning protein for energy is kind of like burning your house down just to stay warm for one night. Sure, it works, but you lose something incredibly valuable in the process. So let's just quickly recap the protein priority. They are unique because they have that essential nitrogen. They perform a mind-boggling variety of functions, building everything from your cells to your antibodies. And because all of these jobs are absolutely non-negotiable for survival, using them for energy is the body's absolute last choice. Which leaves us with one final, really cool question. If proteins are these ultimate jack-of-all-trades workers, what do their individual resumes look like? What is it about their structure that qualifies one protein to build a muscle and another to fight a virus? Well, the answer lies in their building blocks. And that's exactly what we'll be diving into in our next explainer all about amino acids. See you there.